Hello, everyone.
Hey, Danielle, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All right, all right. My apologies, family. You all know me. You all know I'm a stumbling block sometimes. So let me go ahead and take the time to reintroduce this beautiful young lady. Danielle Pierce has 12 plus years of real estate experience. She has made over $1 million in the last 3 years. Are you serious? In revenue in her business? Oh my goodness, she has experience in the BPO business, which you and I have in common. Property flipping, short sales, broker price opinions, and whatnot. Without further ado.
Hey, you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
How's it going?
Thank you. I'm doing well. I'm super glad to be back again. I'm glad we got this technical difficulties figured out, and I'm ready to go.
Yes, yes, yes. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get to it, guys.
All right. Can everybody hear me and see me okay? Because I just saw someone said they can't see me, but everyone else, I think, should be good.
Okay. Can everyone hear both of us?
Yeah, everybody said they're good. Okay. All right. All right. So again, I'm Danielle Pierce. I'm super excited to be here. I'm going to be doing this quick, well, I shouldn't say quick, fairly quick training about how to get started in property preservation. So I'll give you enough to get started, whether or not you work with me or not. So that's what we're about to do today. I got to do a quick screen share. So bear with me while I get my life together real quick. Hopefully this does not fail me now. Give me just a second. I think that you guys should be able to see my screen. Give me a thumbs up if you can do so. Gerald, can you see okay? Can everybody else see okay?
I can. Let me.
All right. Double check with the peoples first because I don't want to get started running my mouth and nobody can't see.
Okay. Thumbs up. Everybody can hear? Okay. Okay.
All right. And y'all still see my shining forehead? That's my light ring. My head is just so shiny. No matter how much powder I put on it, it's still shining like a, my brother said it always looks like I have a bright idea. But I do always have bright ideas, though. That's the funny part about it. Like, I literally have a bright idea every day. All right. So today, you guys, we're going to be talking about how you can make money repairing. You'll hear me use the word foreclosed properties. It's also called REO, which just stands for real estate owned, basically bank-owned properties, all right? So you don't need a degree. You don't need a real estate license, and you don't need any experience. And I'm about to show you how you can do that. So generally, I speak to real estate agents or people that are looking for an additional, real estate agents looking for an additional revenue stream, or people who want to get into real estate but don't want to sell anything because everybody thinks real estate and they think sell it, buyer's agent or seller's agent. And that's cool if that's the route that you want to go, but that's not what this is. And then also I speak to a lot of people who are just simply looking to break the cycle of living check to check to check, which I know all too well. Put up an amen in the comments if you can relate, because I know that I can. And they want to build a profitable business along the way. We're going to talk about today in this next 45 minutes, unless y'all just flood me with questions, some of my failures in other areas of real estate and how you can avoid them. Again, I've been self-employed for the last 12 years straight. All I do is real estate. And in that 12 years, as Gerald mentioned, I've done flips, I've done short sales, I've done broker price opinions. I'm a managing broker. I've been licensed since 2006. So this is literally all that I do. Of course, the first 5.5 years were trash, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. However, I just wanted to let everybody know that this is what I do full time. I transitioned over 12 years ago now from corporate employee to full-time entrepreneur. Preservation, in my opinion, is superior to just about every other niche within the industry, with the exception of maybe tax lien investing, which is my other specialty. And if you guys are fortunate, then I'll be coming back to talk about that sometime in the next couple of weeks or so. And then we'll talk about the one moment that changed everything for me. So just imagine for a second, you start your company and you're bringing in a steady $10,000 per month, or you are in a position to hire friends and family members that are otherwise not employable. Now, this can be a great thing if you have family and friends that have kind of took a detour, went down the wrong road, but they're still, able to be saved. So this ain't for everybody, but it is for, those few family members and friends that, just need a helping hand. Imagine you're able to take a vacation and still bring in revenue. I shouldn't say I travel a lot because that's not exactly true. I've traveled a lot the past 5 months or so. Been to LA, Chicago, Atlanta, Mexico, all since Thanksgiving of last year. So So that's a recent phenomenon though. So you can't necessarily do this in your first year unless you're just like Superman or Superwoman. But if you set things up properly, you will be able to eventually travel, and still, as long as you have your laptop, you can manage this business from pretty much anywhere. Imagine that you're no longer trading hours for dollars. Oh my God, somebody put type of 1 or amen, or I'm ready. If you're ready to stop working for somebody else and, trading hours for dollars, because and it's such a cliche. MLM companies say this a lot, where they try to bang you over the head to join them. They'll say things like, oh, you're going to work at your job for 40 years and get a watch and you're going to die, blah, 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 blah. I'm not here to tell you that, but I am here to tell you unequivocally that trading hours for dollars is never going to make you wealthy. Never going to make you rich. It's just going to make you enough to get by and maybe be comfortable, but it's not the way to become wealthy. And then for my entrepreneurs, and I know that there's some of you on this call, imagine being able to choose the people that you want to work with and fire the rest of them. Because I know Gerald can relate to this as well. Some people are just a massive headache to work with, and it's typically those at the lower price points when you've discounted your services, you've discounted everything, and you thirsty for money, so you're working with anybody, and they stress you out. And they stress you out so much that you wish that somebody else would take over your business so you don't have to deal with them. So I know all about that. So if you start something that brings you in enough money, you can kind of be a little bit more selective about who you decide to work with, for sure. So my background, I ain't gonna spend all day on this because nobody cares. You just want to know how I can help you. But I will say, I have an accounting degree. I do not know any accounting. Please, I get those questions all the time. People be like, should I do an LLC or an S corp? I'm like, baby, I don't know. Like, I just listen to what my CPA tells me to do. I don't remember any of that stuff. I was good at it when I was doing it for about 5 years, but other than that, it's a wrap. So I was laid off in 2007. So I'm the class of 2001, graduated in 2002 with a master's degree. So I worked for 5 years in corporate America. I'm a 100% entrepreneur. I mentioned that before. I own Platinum Realty and Preservation, Platinum Field Services, soon to be Platinum Fieldworks. I'm the founder of Women, Wealth, and Real Estate. This $1 million, it took 3 years for that to happen. This happened a couple of years ago. I'm close to the $2 million mark just in preservation, but it seems to be eluding me for some reason. So hopefully before the end of this year, I'll hit that $2 million mark in revenue combined for the 6 years that I've been in preservation. And again, average annual revenue is about $300,000 a year. So 2009. Remember I told y'all I was an entrepreneur since 2007? So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but I do this because I think that this resonates with so many people, and it's a lesson that I really just got within the last year or so. So 2009, of course, I'm out here hustling. I call myself an entrepreneur. I'm out here, in these streets, going to these networking meetings, just wasting time doing nothing. And I was flipping cars. I was doing BPOs. I did loan modifications. I did credit repair. I did a few real estate closings. I worked for 5 Links briefly, of course, didn't make any money with that. And then if you look right here where it says the LaSalle Network, this is the temp agency in Chicago. I worked there for 3 weeks before I just died. And I was like, I can't. This was working back in accounting, and I just could not do it. And all these 7, 8 things that I did made me $30,000 for that year. So why am I telling you that? Because I want you all to, if you're going to do preservation, I want you to focus on doing preservation. I don't want you to add it in with being a braider and, running a restaurant. And I want you to focus, because focus will make you wealthy. Focus is the name of the game. And a lot of us think that we do more things, we make more money. But in reality, we do more things and we make less money. There's no reason to do all these different things and only make $30,000 a year. Fortunately, I didn't have any kids yet. And wait, was I married? God, why can't I remember? I was married, but I didn't have any children yet. So that was really the only saving grace, because if I did have children, then it would have just been, it'd have been a wrap. So it would have been a wrap. So if you're going to do preservation, I need you to focus on that. So what is it? Everybody thinks that preservation is renovation, remodeling, repairs. It's not really that. It's more so the repair and maintenance. So basic repairs, usually minor repairs and maintenance. So landscaping, board ups, evictions, lock changes. You make most of your money from trash outs. I don't think that's any secret to anybody. Inspections, cash for keys, minor plumbing, electrical, and HVAC. One of the commonly asked questions I'll get is, Can you just do clean outs? And while that would be awesome, I'm going to say the answer to that is no. Typically, the way the process works, and I'll explain this a little bit later in more detail, but if you're a primary vendor, you're going to get all the work that's needed for particular territories. And so you can't just decline all the $50, $100 things and just only do the things that's going to make you like, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. It will be nice. However, that's generally not how it works. So how do you make money? I share this slide so many times. I feel like everybody should know it by now, but I know a lot of you probably don't. So this is a house in Chicago on the South Side, and it was in the winter. And what happened here was the house was obviously foreclosed. We were assigned to the property. It was in Inglewood. Forget the exact address. But before they left, they turned on the water in all the faucets, and then they left. And this was in the dead of winter. So the entire house looked like this, like a scene from Frozen. And so we got there and it was just like, what are we supposed to do? And so if you are a traditional landlord, you just got a couple of investment properties, you probably gonna freak out when you see this. If you are a preservation vendor, you'll be excited when you see this, because you know that you're about to make a few $1,000s just from this one property. This property has to be thawed out. Then the water has to be extracted, then it has to be dried out, and then all the debris that was damaged from the drywall and stuff has to be taken out. So this is like, I think it's about $6,000 for this one property, just because the people who live there left and left all the water running in the dead of winter in Chicago. Chicago, of course, gets really, really cold. That's where I'm from. I live in Fort Worth now. I posted that in the comment section, but Chicago, of course, gets super cold. I was in Chicago in April and it snowed, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm so sick of it. I'm so glad I don't live here. I should say that. It was like April the 26th of this year. I flew out there and I saw a forecast and it said snow, and I'm just like, snow? And sure enough, it snowed. It didn't last very long, but my point is, why am I seeing snow and it's about to be May? So that's how you make your money. In a nutshell, you pick your territory to cover. You pick a state, and then you pick cities, and sometimes they go by county, sometimes they go by zip codes. You pick your area though. So you do have the flexibility to do that. Sometimes if your area has too many vendors, you can work in other cities and states. I don't recommend that for brand new people. I don't recommend that for people who are disorganized. I don't recommend that for people who have full-time jobs and don't have help. It's a balancing act to do that. It's possible, but right at the beginning, I wouldn't necessarily advise it. So you pick your territory. The servicing company, which is, I use the word bank servicing company interchangeably, even though they're not technically the same thing, but they hire your company to do various repairs and maintenance at the property. They pay you, and you turn around and pay your team. Okay, so that's literally the process in a nutshell. So what do I mean by servicing company? So Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, Capital One, you don't really deal directly with them. Those banks hire servicing companies to do everything because they don't want to be bothered. They just want to collect money, collect their billions of dollars, and live their best life. And they don't want to be bothered with things like, preservation and maintenance and even selling the property. Everything is outsourced. So those companies are where we get our contracts with, and that's who pays you. And then for you, you're either going to do the work yourself if that's your skill set, or you're going to hire a team. All right. So that's it. Like, that's the whole process in a nutshell. It's a lot of steps to get through it, but I wanted you to be clear about how it works, who's paying you, and who you're paying. Doing it yourself, in my opinion, is an ideal way to start, but you cannot scale doing it yourself because you're one person or one family, and you can only work so many hours in a day. So you'll tap out at about anywhere from 70 to 90. If you're really, really, really driven, you might get to 100 a year, $100,000. But it's going to be very stressful. You can't work in, you can't get to $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in revenue with just one person. Okay. So what do you need to get started? This is where you want to screenshot, take notes, voice record, or something like that. General liability, professional liability, maybe workman's comp insurance, knowledge, and of course the ability to execute. Knowledge is where I come in at. Ability to execute is where you come in at, because I for sure know how to get you started and how to get you going, but the execution piece is going to be up to everyone else. So going back to the insurances that you need. general liability, the general liability and professional liability insurance that you need, it has to be geared specifically towards property preservation. So you can't generally go to like a State Farm or an Allstate. They don't offer this type of coverage. So you have to work with companies that specifically cover this industry. It's not that big of a deal to find, but I just want to put everyone on notice that if you want to figure this out for yourself, you got to make sure that you find the right insurance broker to help you get started with that. The workman's comp piece, a lot of states, you guys, have exemptions. So if you're in a state where, for example, Illinois, where I'm from, and of course, Texas, where I'm at now, the state law is that if you don't have any employees, then you don't have to have workman's comp. So, because I only have independent contractors, that's how I operate the business. So if you're in a state like that, you can exempt yourself from that workman's comp insurance. Workman's comp can be a little bit expensive depending upon where you live. I know on the East Coast and the West Coast, y'all just overpay for pretty much everything. So it kind of sucks to live there, if you ask me. In the Midwest and down south, of course, prices are a lot more reasonable. Best method. All right, I'm going to get to these questions because I know they're flowing in. I'm going to get to these questions, so just bear with us. The best method, in my opinion, after having done all the different methods and doing it the wrong way, the best method is to outsource from the beginning, unless you're doing it yourself. So if you have the skill set, and I know a lot of y'all do because I get those messages, inboxes, and everything every single day from people who have the skill set in the field but have no idea how to get a contract. Or they're working already in preservation and they're not making any money. I had a lady inboxed me on Instagram the other day, and she said, well, we're not making any money. We've been doing this for 2 years. I don't know what we're doing wrong. And I said, who are you working with? She told me the company. I was like, well, that company is trash, number one. And then I asked her how much she gets for trash outs. And she said $18 per cubic yard. So let me rewind that for a minute. Trash outs are measured in cubic yards. So cubic yards is about the size of a washing machine. So the companies that I recommend, the highest paying company pays $37.50 per cubic yard. So if you're at a property and there's, let's round it up to 100 cubic yards at $37.50, that's $3,750. You're at a property and you're getting paid $18 a cubic yard for 100 cubic yards. Now you're at $1,800. So you're at less than half of what you should be getting. Does that make sense? So you have to be with the right company. I know some of y'all probably in the industry right now, you're like, yeah, let me see what she's talking about. Let me see if she knows her stuff. I know this industry, I know the pricing. And I know I've seen companies paying $16 per cubic yard. Mind you, we're going from $37.50 all the way down to 16. So which company do you want to be at, right? So best method again is to do the work yourself or outsource from the beginning if you don't know how to do any of the work. I don't know how to do any of the work. I know how it should be done and how it should look, but as far as if it involves anything other than taking photos and doing an inspection, I'm not your girl. I don't know what to do, but I know how it's supposed to be done. Require your team to have their own stuff. I can't stress this enough. You can find contractors with experience in preservation that actually have trucks and trailers and lock boxes and locks. And you don't have to supply those things. In the beginning, me being the captain save, I don't want to say that word because we're talking about family, but trying to save everybody. I was trying to bring everybody aboard the train. You know, actually my husband and I at the time bought trucks, trailers, all the equipment, bought everything, and just had the people, show up to work and drive away and get the work done. And what happened is that, well, as you might expect, people always take better care of their stuff than they do of yours. And so one of the trucks came back with it was a 16-foot box truck. And the top of the truck had a giant, it was like somebody cut into it with a can opener. And that damage was about $5,500. And then other times, stuff would come up missing. Stuff was broken every single day. They would break something at a property, like clockwork, because it wasn't theirs. So you can find people who have their own stuff and avoid that entirely. And so if you do that, then your startup costs are insurance, which is about $500 to $600 down for the deposit, and maybe a few days of payroll. Another question that people always ask, because I like to anticipate what y'all gonna do because I've been doing this for so long. People say, well, how much should I have for payroll in the beginning? And so what I do and what I tell my clients is that you should tell people that they can expect to get their first deposit anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks after they start. That's what I do. That's how most jobs work. If you think about it, if you started working, I worked at McDonald's, Burger King, Shoney's, IHOP, all the jobs that I've ever had. If you start on a Friday when everybody else is getting paid, well, you're going to get paid 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now. It ain't rocket science. So I just tell them that very same thing. And most of the time they cool with it. Every now and then I get somebody who's like, oh, I can't wait that long. And either I will work something out with them or I just don't pursue that relationship. All right. So that's how that works. My method, go the extra mile. And I say that because, again, you can't pick and choose the work that you're going to do. Well, I shouldn't say that. You could pick and choose the work that you're going to do, but you wouldn't become a preferred vendor at that point, and they wouldn't start to flood you with work if you did that. Because everybody, of course, always wants the things where they're going to make the most money. That's a given. So you got to be able to do the things that's not going to make you the most money, or sometimes you just break even. Like things like, what's a good example? A securing work order. Like go to a property and do a lock change. Well, the company I'm with now, they pay $60 for that. So I usually pay the contractor about $40, $45 to do that because I'm not going to make thousands of dollars on a lock change. So that's what I mean when I say doing the small things. Only work with national reputable companies. I cannot stress enough that there are a bunch of shady companies. Usually they're smaller, regional, or local companies, mom and pops. I see them sometimes advertising on Facebook. And you can always identify them because the pricing just isn't there. If you're getting less than, $25 per cubic yard to do a trash out, I mean, that's not the company that you want to be with because you can't really make the money that you need to make working with that company. Accept as much work as you can. Track your expenses and revenue. Oh my gosh. If you don't remember nothing else, I keep saying, if you remember nothing else that I say, track your money because I've seen too many times, myself included, and mind you, I have an accounting degree, right? You would think I would be great with numbers, right? So first 6 months were slow. We made like $30,000. I'll show you that in just a second. Next year we made $313,000 or $332,000. So the money was coming in and it was just going out and I wasn't tracking it and I wasn't doing estimated payments to the IRS. And then that tax bill came and I was just like, oh, okay, okay, I wasn't ready. And it's very difficult to recover from that. I shouldn't say very difficult. It does take a little bit of time. It takes chunks of money. So if you owe the IRS, and I'm speaking from experience, if you owe the IRS, and if anybody can relate, just type in the comments like, I know I hear you. Interest is charged daily, right? And there's penalties and there's fees. And it's you could make payments, but the balance keeps going up. I've seen stories online where I saw one story, I'll never forget, this lady owed $3,000 to the IRS 7 years ago, and her balance 7 years later was like $3,500 because she was paying like $50 or $100 a month. Like you cannot win doing that. So if you have to make estimated payments. So what I do now after reading this book, Profit First by Mike McAllowich, which we had at TSP, remember? I have an account designated for the IRS and it says IRS payment. And then I just take a percentage of every deposit that comes in and I put it in that account and I pay it, I send it to the IRS. So that's what I recommend now. Submit excellent bids. I do help you with that in the course. Don't leave anything to chance. Maintain a 2-tiered roster of contractors. So what does that mean? So let me break this down for you. You have your A team and your B team, right? You have starting squad and then you have the bench. Starting squad has their own materials, supplies, trucks. They understand instructions. You don't have to really micromanage them. And then the others that ride the bench, they don't have no materials. They don't have no supplies. They need you to pick them up and drop them off. A lot of times they're related to you. I'm just going to keep it 100. Usually this is friends and family that you have to take these extra steps for. But if you have a big clean out or a big eviction and you need all hands on deck, that's where they come in at, right? So they're day laborers. How we doing on time? How we doing on questions, Gerald?
We're doing great. We're doing great. On time, questions, we're doing great. A lot of people are chiming in and whatnot.
Okay, I'm gonna look back over in a second. I can't, when I'm doing my screen share, I can't see the comments just yet. All right, so I'm gonna do a few success stories. Of course, I have some frequently asked questions. I'll get to those. Of course, I have an offer for those of you who are interested in working with me because it's definitely a great opportunity if that's something that you want to do. And then we'll turn it back over for Q&A. All right, so these are just a few success stories. One client that I have, did $40,000 in 1 month. This was in the middle or the end of last year, but she averages about 15 a month. She's been doing this for 3 years, so just want to put that in there. Another client in her first year did $40,000 after getting started. And so that's, of course, not a huge amount of money, but she already had a job that she loved and that, paid well. She was a teacher. She just wanted to do something. No, she worked for CPS, Chicago Public Schools. She wanted to do something to where she didn't have to work in summer school. And so she did this and made an extra $40,000. Another client that's averaging $3,500 per month for the first 2 months, that's average. About $2,000 to $5,000 for your first 6 months is what you can expect to do. Another client just said her job was less stressful, and you'll see that happen a lot. Everybody says they hate their job, and like, oh, I want to quit. My boss is this. I hate everybody. But, most of us are not ready. I know when I got laid off, I begged to be laid off, and I wasn't ready. So I got laid off, and I was just like, oh, okay, be careful what you ask for, because I wasn't ready. And it took me a very long time to transition from employee to entrepreneur. That transition is a whole nother live stream on a whole nother day, to be honest. But I can speak to that because I experienced that firsthand. But if you have another revenue stream, your 9 to 5 is going to be less stressful. You can tolerate more because you're like, oh, you know what? I'll still be able to pay my bills with this other business. I don't have to rely exclusively on this job. So I have clients onboarding or actually working in New York, New Jersey, Alabama, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, DMV area, New York, Las Vegas, California, Oklahoma City, Georgia, not Tennessee, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, there's quite a few states that I've helped people get started in. So wherever there's foreclosures, there will be this type of work available. Of course, some places are a little bit more saturated than others, but I tell everybody it's cyclical. So some vendor is always going to screw up or leave the business or do something, and there's always going to be an opportunity. You have to just be ready for when it comes, all right? Another people commonly ask question is people say, well, how long does it take to get a contract? It varies. If I had to do an average, it's probably 60 days, and it depends a lot on, do you have a business already or are you starting from scratch? Because I work with a lot of people who've never been business owners before, so they have to kind of do a lot of baby steps in order to prepare. And then, of course, if you're one of those people who are into social proof, I have actually at this point about 91 5-star reviews on Facebook, about another 50 or 60 on the course platform. I'll show you the link to that in a second, so you can check out all of that, plus YouTube, plus my Facebook group. So there's plenty of testimonials that are out there. Real quick, just want to show you how I got to that first $1 million. 2013 was only $29,000. I know it's very dim, but $29,000. Of course, that's me, Danielle Pierce. 2014, $333,982. That happened because, like I said about people messing up, a vendor in Chicago lost their contract for basically being shady. And so I was ready. And so we were able to step into that position. What they were doing, and I'm just telling you this just as an FYI, just because it's always funny to me. So we do something called Cash for Keys. And when I first started doing Cash for Keys, you would go and negotiate with the person who lived there and kind of negotiate the amount that they would receive to move. Well, this other vendor, who shall remain nameless, was negotiating those amounts, but negotiating a cut for themselves as well. So they would get the check and deliver it, and then the person who lived there in the foreclosed property would end up giving them a cut of that check. So that's how they lost their contract. So I don't know all the specifics of how it happened, but I just know that that's what happened. They were being shady. But given the plethora of phones and video phones and social media, somebody is always watching you. So you can't do stuff like that in music. 2015, we hit 422,000. 2016, another 333,000. So I'm just showing you the first $1 million in revenue right here. 2013, 2014, 2015 to 2016. Of course, I still work in a business today. And again, I'm still chasing that second $1 million, but it seems to be, taking me a little longer than what I had anticipated. So 3 years, $1 million, big aha moment. I even did a video on it on YouTube. You can go find it out. Because I was just like, oh my God, I did it. I'm so excited. I can't believe it. And it was just it was a nice feeling to experience. Coming from where I come from, single mom, one of 5 children, only person to go to college, like not just in my immediate family, but the second in my extended family. It was just a really big deal for me. Even in spite of all the mistakes that I made along the way and not paying the IRS on time for the first, couple years, it was just a big aha moment. So quick recap, ladies and gents. What have we learned? Why preservation is an ideal niche within the industry. That's because the barriers to entry are low. Startup costs are relatively low. It's not free. It's going to take you some money, but it's not, thousands and thousands of dollars. You don't need a license. You don't need a college degree. I don't even think you need a high school diploma. You do have to pass a background check. We didn't cover that. The background check is done through a third-party company. Sometimes I get real specific. Let me tell y'all something. And this is, I know I keep doing quick segues, but I got to share this story. I had somebody email me and they said, and I quote, are the background checks, do they check them throughout the year? And then he said, for example, if I get a felony in 6 months, what will happen? And I'm just like, really? So you're planning on getting a felony in the next 6 months? I was so confused by that. And so I read the email and I'm just like, and I typed and I erased it, typed and erased it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to respond until you guys, what I told him is that you have to renew your background check every year. So it's not a one and done thing. And they don't cost very much. It's like $60 every year to get done. And all your subcontractors should get it done too. But yes, you renew it every year. So they'll check your background. You can't have any felonies. Some misdemeanors are okay. I know that because I've hired people that have those, but no felonies. All right. I don't know how far back they go. I don't know if they check other states, but I do know you cannot have any felonies. If you do, you have to put everything in somebody else's name. Basic requirements to get started. We talked about general liability, professional liability, possibly workman's comp, and of course, a business. You have to have that, a legitimate business. Even a sole proprietorship. I didn't cover that. If you have the money, though, I would do an LLC, but you can have a sole proprietorship to get started. That's what I did. And they're usually less than $100 to start. And of course, the best framework to set up your business is going to be to outsource from the beginning or to do the work yourself temporarily until you get up enough, stack up enough cash to where you can start to, expand your reach. So that's the recap. All right. Do I want to talk about these testimonials? Because I don't know if I want to cover all of these. I'll just cover my favorite one, which is, hold on. Let me see what's my favorite one. Because I usually attract a lot of skeptics, and usually those are the ones who've been to college because they're like, you can't make that kind of money without a college degree. That's not what I was told and what I was taught. So I know this is not true. Usually those are my biggest skeptics. This is my favorite one, or one of them. This is from Shannon. Shannon is a rock star. She's working in about 3 states right now. She started in March of this year. So she is probably not the best example because she really is someone who's super driven and super motivated, but I just want to showcase what can happen if you are that type of person. So she says she's tried close to a dozen programs. She was disappointed with most of them. Things were always missing and no one would answer the questions. She said the course is full of priceless gems that work. It casts aside all the filler and gets straight to the point. She ensures your success with everything that you need in the course to get you up and running. And then she says, I'm on my way to a solid, successful business in less than 90 days, onboarding with 3 different companies in 4 different states. So yes, Shannon is a bit of an outlier, but if you are that type of person, you can make it happen. And this testimonial is on my course website. Let me do these frequently asked questions, get to a special offer, and then we'll keep going. So how much will I make right away? $2,000 to $5,000 per month. Unless you pick a state and a city and state where there is a desperate need for vendors and a lot of work. I have had that happen this year alone. I've had it happen 3 times. It was Alabama, Oklahoma, what was the other place? I forget the cities. I just remember the states: Alabama, Oklahoma, and Nevada. Oddly enough, so those 3 clients that I work with actually got a lot of work right out the gate. But typically, they start you off slow to see how you're going to manage it. So, can I do this and still work my job? If your job has some level of flexibility, yes, meaning you can respond to a text, you can send a quick email, you can maybe work from home every now and again. If you have a job where you cannot do anything but be glued to your desk or your computer, then don't do it because it won't work unless you have a partner to help you. All right. So how much do I need to get started? If you had 2,000, that'd be great. If you had 3,000, that'd be phenomenal. All right. So of course you'll, pay for the training and then the insurance and then setting up your business depending upon the structure that you utilize. If it's an LLC, it might be $200 unless you live in, where's the most expensive place? Illinois used to be $500 and they recently reduced it to $150 for an LLC. I think the highest right now might be New York at about $500 if I'm not mistaken. But you'll spend money to set up your business. Success stories, we've covered those. There's plenty of them online. You can go review those at your leisure. And then why am I qualified to teach the class and how much is the class? So you guys, I'm qualified to teach the class because I work in the business. As my mother would always say, I ain't telling you what I heard, I'm telling you what I know. I know the business very, very, very well. I've been doing preservation and tax lien investing exclusively since 2013. And I've been in real estate since 2007 when I was laid off from my corporate internal audit position, which I despised from the very beginning. But I only teach from what I know. So I'm not teaching you theory. I'm not teaching you stuff that I heard on YouTube, that I found on YouTube videos. I see a lot of videos out there and I watch them every now and again. No, let me stop. I never watch those videos. I just watch my own videos. So I do know a lot about the industry. I know how to get started, and I still work in the industry. I work primarily in Texas now and a little bit still in Chicago. So I teach from experience and expertise and what I actually know and have seen and what I've been able to duplicate for my other clients as well. So I'm not just telling you stuff that I just, read in some book somewhere. And the class is actually discounted for this webinar. So there's a special offer, and this is just for people who are maybe like me, who want to get started right away. They know they want to do it. They don't need to really hear me yet for the next 15 minutes to answer questions. It's 75% off right now. Somebody can type the link in the comment section, please. The link it's a bit.ly link. So bit.ly/foreclosure cleanup business with a capital F. Bit.ly links are case sensitive. If you type in the lowercase f, I don't know where that's going to take you, but it's going to take you to the wrong spot. So if somebody could type that in the comment section, that'd be great. And the discount code is preservation pays. The course is normally $19.97, and you can have it for $4.97 today. All right. You'll also get unlimited access to the course, even when I change the price, which I'm going to do June 15th. Unlimited email support for the first 30 days, a quick start onboarding call to make sure that you get started, on the right path. The course is designed to be it's not designed to be, it is a complete course, and that it explains every step of the process. And then if you still are not clear, then I'll answer those questions over email or maybe during the onboarding call at the very beginning. But it is very, very comprehensive. As a matter of fact, if you click on the link right now, you'll see just how detailed I've put it, even to where I have the companies. Some of these companies have assessments. I have the questions and the answers to the assessments. I tell you how to answer the questions. I tell you how to get your insurance. I tell you everything that you need to know. So that's just a special offer for those of you who are ready to get started right now. But again, I work in the business. I've taken a lot of hard knocks. We do around $300,000 in annual revenue just in preservation. I know what it's like to work with family and friends. It didn't work for me. I'm not here to say that it won't work for you, but it was my particular scenario did not work. And I have a great ability to break complex information into manageable pieces, and really nobody else is offering this information the way that I am, at the price point that I am, with the level of skills that I'm bringing to this particular platform. So I have, again, dozens and dozens and dozens of testimonials and reviews that are out there with this and with tax lien investing. So you have your pick to take of which ones you want to pay attention to. So what is in the class? How to locate and monitor contractors so you can work from anywhere. So there's software that will allow you to As they're taking pictures in the field, you can see the pictures as they're taking it. They're geocoded, they're date and time stamped. Some of the software platforms that you can use, you can see if they left the property and if they came back. You can get pretty, pretty specific and detailed with the contractors without actually being in the field. I go over the 4 methods to pay the contractors. I'll give you a hint: never pay anybody by the hour. I did that. And it was, I swear I could be talking about this stuff all day. So I'll just give you one example where we did this, paying people by the hour, and it was 3 guys in a truck. We're gone for 16 hours, right? 16 hours, no, 14 hours. And they came back. They were supposed to be doing a route of grass cuts, and they came back and they had done a total of 10 grass cuts in 14 hours with 3 people. So paying them $12 an hour, and actually one was getting $15 an hour, 3 people for 14 hours, right? That was a loss for the day. It's a win for them, but a loss for the company. So don't do what I did. Don't pay nobody by the hour because they just go abuse it. Of course, I give you a list of companies to sign up with, help with doing the vendor applications, which you're going to need help with that. A quick start guide for those of you who are like, what do I do, in what order, and what should I do first? That's what that is. A final checklist. Oh, I have a vendor packet. So when you bring people on your team, it's a W-9, a welcome letter, a termination letter, payment procedures, everything you'll need to bring somebody on board to work with you. I have that included in the course as well. Bidding software recommendations, recommended insurance companies as well. It is very, very comprehensive. If you click that link, you'll be able to go there and see for yourself. Real world examples, instructions on how to breed and break down work orders, recommendations on how to obtain work through the private sector. So for example, some people work preservation, and in addition, they'll work with real estate agents to do trash outs or winterizations of listed properties. So that's not technically working with a bank, but if you learn how to do it, it's an option for you. And then I also threw in the process to get approved to become a vendor to bid on government contracts as well. I don't have every single step about that in there, but I do know the basics on how to get started, what you need, where you need to go to register. So that's in there as well. So you guys, what if this course took you into another tax bracket? Or just allowed you to feel less stressed on your current job because it's no longer your sole source of income, or gave you the option to quit your job? I don't think you should quit, so don't quote me on that. I don't need anybody saying that. Don't quote me on that. But it is nice to have options, or just put you in a position to create a family business. That's probably my second or third most common email, is that people want to create a business for their family. There was a guy, of course, I know you guys heard about, who was just in the news for repaying or agreeing to repay all the student loan debt for everybody who graduated from Morehouse this year, about 400 people. And apparently that total was about $40 million. And while let me tell you, that's the best thing ever. But what I'm trying to say is, why is it that people are graduating at 21, 22 years old with $100,000 of student loan debt? And the average salary 10 years after graduation at Morehouse, you guys, and you can Google this, is $48,000 a year. So you graduate from Morehouse, which is $48,000 per year to attend. 10 years after graduation, the average salary is $48,000. That to me is a fail. And people get offended when I say that. These are just facts. That's a fail, to not even be at 50 stacks a year, 10 years after graduation. So if you can set up a business like this, or really any other business, I think it's a win. All right. So what would that be worth to you? For me, it's priceless. I can't have anybody telling me what to do at this stage of my life. And plus, it's been so long that I've had a boss or worked a job. I don't have an alarm clock. My children have never woken up to an alarm clock. I've realized that the other day I was complaining about something. I thought to myself, you don't even have an alarm clock. The only time I wake up early or have to have an alarm clock is if I'm catching a plane to go somewhere. Other than that, I don't even have one. I don't even use the one on my phone. I just don't. That's just not the lifestyle that I've created. And again, it was a struggle the first 5.5 years. Let me be very clear. It took me about 6 years to replace my corporate salary, but preservation, if I'd known about it from the very beginning, this is what I would have been doing, the whole time. So what I do know is that if you work with me to get a contract to do preservation, then you'll definitely make that happen. I do guarantee that because that's what I do. All right. For those of you who are still on the fence, I'm going to show you a quick work order because, again, I don't want to be out here yakking all day. But again, course is normally valued at $19.97, worth every penny. I don't know what other trainings you've taken, but this is phenomenal. And of course, I'm biased because it's my training, but it works. And it's not a lot of motivational stuff. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to help you get a contract. And really, that's it. Like, I'm not here to make you feel good about yourself and your life. You got to go holler at somebody else to do that. You get unlimited access to the course, unlimited email support for the first 30 days, a quick start onboarding call, valued at $34.97, and you can have it today for $4.97. Discount code preservation pays, and that is it for my slideshow. Yeah, I'm gonna show you this one work order that I got in March of this year. As you can see, that's me, Danielle Pierce, Platinum Field Services. This was an eviction work order in San Angelo, Texas. You can still see my screen, right, Gerald?
Yeah.
I just want to show you the amount that the work order was for. I'll show you in just a second. $38.20. So this order is good for a total of up to $3,820 before a discount. So this was a $3,800 work order, and this was one work order that I got, again, earlier this year in San Angelo, Texas, and got it done. Made that happen. So you probably won't get these right away, but they will come your way. I have a client right now who just got one for $3,900, and it's a very real thing. Very real thing. So let's get to the questions. What are people saying?
So, Danielle, first and foremost, the question I want to ask you is, I have one of my students in the Riverside, California area. Says that foreclosures out there are just going crazy. This time, I mean, in terms of the market, what do you see? Because a lot of people, I get that question multiple times a day. And I want to ask you in front of all the participants and whatnot, everybody that's chiming on and whatnot, what do you see with the changing market in terms of the economy? Are you starting to see a shift, slow shift, quick shift in many areas, or you're starting to see a shift, am I right?
Yes, there's definitely a shift. I think by all accounts of different people across our industry, there will be another recession. And typically when that happens, of course, the preservation work goes through the roof. I will say that, it works regardless. Like sometimes it gets a little bit slow, but for the most part, it's pretty steady if you're in a good area. But yes, the market is changing. In Texas now, where I live now, I've never seen more building than I have in Texas. But the funny thing is, a lot of this stuff isn't selling, but they keep continuing to build. And I'm fascinated with this phenomenon because I'm like, why are they still building all these subdivisions and nobody is buying the ones that are already standing? So yes, there is a shift coming. I think it's already started to happen. And oddly enough, it's just like when 2008 happened. Subprime loans kind of made a comeback. I don't know if you noticed that. People getting loans with 520 credit scores. And, you could argue for that all you wanted to, but if you got a 520 credit score, I can't see getting a mortgage being a good idea. I just feel like it's common sense. But yeah, to answer your question, absolutely.
So let's go ahead and get to some of these questions and whatnot. Okay. Let me see. Alan asked, what about CLT? I think that's Charlotte. Is it a good city for this line of business?
First of all, where is CLT?
I think that's Charlotte, North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. So let's say Charlotte. Let's say Charlotte, North Carolina. Is that a good area for this line of business?
Charlotte is good. I do have a couple people working in North Carolina. And I don't know if it's just Charlotte. What's the other city in North Carolina? Raleigh? Is that North Carolina too?
Yeah.
North Carolina is a good state. Yeah. So the thing I want people to understand is that you can work it anywhere. And if there happens to be where you just can't work in your city, then you can, of course, work in another city and state, but only under the right conditions. I only tell certain people to do this. And if I get email from my existing clients and they're like, oh, I want to work in another city and states, I look at my interaction with them and how they've responded in the past and how they've retained the information. And if I think it's not a good idea, I'll just tell them, like, I don't think you're ready for that, so you shouldn't do it. But yes, Charlotte is a good city.
So Chloe asked, is it saturated in Dallas in terms of this business? Is it saturated in Dallas?
A little bit. I'm in Fort Worth, so I do cover Dallas, Fort Worth, and I get work orders every now and then for the city. So you'll have to expand outside initially with in the DFW area. But Texas in general is a phenomenal state to get started in. It's so large. It has so many cities. It's a good one for sure.
Okay, Angel asked, what happens if we need more support after the 30 days? Is there an extra fee?
Yeah, but see, the thing about me, and I realize this is different from a lot of other coaches, I don't want you to be tied to me for months on end. I want to show you what you need to know, answer your questions, get all the kinks worked out, and for you to go and work in the industry and tell other people and build your business. I don't want for you to only be successful if you have me kind of holding your hand. So I don't have a specific program in place just yet. I'm thinking about doing a monthly subscription option, but if I launch that, it's still only going to be for 3 months. Like if you can't get it after 4 months of working directly with me, then either I'm failing or you're failing, and it's just not a good fit.
Nicole asked, what about St. Louis, Missouri, and Jacksonville, Florida? Are those good markets for this business?
Yes. St. Louis, yes, and Mississippi, yes. I'm typing the link in again because people keep saying it's not working, but I'm assuming that's because they're probably not typing it in right, because Bitly links are very tricky, unfortunately. So let me do panelists and attendees. Go ahead, you can go ahead with the next question.
Also, let me see, Adrian asked, I own a landscaping business and my LLC. So is Baltimore, Maryland a good area?
Yes.
There you have it.
Okay, so hopefully everybody's not going to ask about their individual city because I've already explained that if there's foreclosures, there's work to be had. So we can move on from those questions.
So here's a good one. Natalie asked, can you speak on your experience working as a woman in this field?
It's interesting. So of course it's male dominated. Of course it's white male dominated, just so we're very clear. There's a few preservation groups on Facebook with a lot of very bitter, angry white guys who run the groups, and they have a lot of things to say about the industry. I'm in those groups, but I generally won't comment, or I comment every now and then, I should say that. But sometimes you'll run into men who don't like to deal with women. Specifically, they don't like to deal with Black women. That happens. I even had a guy ask me about, have I experienced racism, working in the industry as well. And I personally have not, but my team has. So if you have a record and you lie about it and I hire you, you're going to probably go to jail if you have a warrant, because the police are called pretty frequently. The neighbors call the police, people driving by in their car call the police when they see us going to the property, doing the resecures or doing the clean out. So there is police interaction. It's never been an issue. Outside of the first few minutes, we display the work order. Sometimes they'll call me from on site, but yes, it does happen. But as far as being a woman, sometimes some contractors have a hard time with that. I just don't hire them. I mean, it ain't nothing I spend, I don't lose no sleep over that at all.
Right. So Michael asked, will you list some of the companies as an example? I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Companies for preservation work?
Yeah, I'm thinking some of the companies that that you contract with. You know what I mean? He was asking if you go ahead and list some of the companies that you contract with.
I'll list one. That's AltaSource.
AltaSource?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me see.
So I'll answer some of the questions. Alan says, if I take the course, am I guaranteed to get going after 30 days? That's not a guarantee. No. It may take longer than 30 days. It may take 60 days. And it really depends a lot on your work ethic. So I can't guarantee that you'll be ready after 30 days. If you're diligent, you start the business and you follow the instructions, for sure you'll get a contract. What I find is that I do get a lot of people who rush the process and they want to get started immediately. And 8.5 out of 10 times, those people are not ready for what they're asking for. Just like people who aren't ready to quit their job, they say they want to leave their job, because it does take some time to get acclimated. It does take some time to know what you're doing. And so, yes, you'll get a contract, but I don't know if it'll be 30 days.
Okay. Let me see. Nicole asked, if possible, how can I avoid workman's comp in Georgia? Did you say hire independent contractors or not as
Yeah.
employees? Okay.
Yeah, 1099 contractors is the way to go. Let me see. Somebody says, will you set us up with the contractors? Yeah, that's really funny. Of course not. I show you how to get contractors. I have a sample ad that you can use, but you're responsible for hiring your own people and building your own company. I'm not getting a revenue percentage of your gross revenue, so no, I'm not doing that.
Marlon asks, do you obtain majority of your contracts from the county or the banks?
These are banks. I don't deal with the counties or individuals at all.
Yeah.
Tareen says, is there a Facebook group for preservation? No, there isn't. Safeguard is the least favorite of all the nationals. They have the lowest pay rate of all the nationals. It is a national company. If you want to start there, you can, but I know their price sheet is not, it doesn't compare to other national companies. All right.
Yes, a lot of, well, you know, because I know you guys gonna keep asking questions. So this last one, because we don't want to hold up Miss Danielle's time. Do you charge monthly or by hours for the jobs?
I don't know what they mean by that.
Yeah, I think it's. I think what they really meant to say was per job, charge per job or what have you. Let me see. You said, Kyle says, you said to outsource the work is the best way. So can you pretty much outsource the entirety of every job?
Yeah, you can. And D. Thompson keeps asking, I have 12 years asbestos and lead removal experience. How should I impose a bid into whom? I don't know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
And then Chris says he's trying to see where to sign up. I think you should post the link again. Okay. And Kenneth wants us to know that post-2008 real estate era in Detroit, there were top tier companies monopolizing the work directly from the banks, and the banks. Everybody has a chance to grow their own company. I mean, you could choose to be a victim or you could choose to get out and make things happen. I don't think about things like racism or, you know, people monopolizing the work, because if you set yourself up and you put yourself in a position, you will get work, you will get a contract with a national company. It's up to you to keep it. The biggest issue is folks not being able to keep the contract once they get it. And typically that's due to doing too much too soon, trying to work in multiple states and they're not ready. Kind of like with flipping properties, everybody wants to flip properties, and flipping is not for you if you're disorganized, bad with money, you got bad credit, or you just like, that's not the thing that you should be doing. And for preservation, if you are disorganized and you're always losing something, you're always all over the place, you should not be trying to work across state lines. That's not what you should be doing with your time.
So guys, like I said, Miss Danielle was phenomenal. Thank you, love.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
I had to go ahead and bring you back on because after the last time, I had so many people that were just messaging me, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, emails, like, Gerald, I'm trying to get in touch with. This is why I brought her back on, guys. This is the thing. She and I understand BPOs, broker price opinions. When those things were hot, I was making $1,000, $1,500 a day. I was doing a lot of BPOs, a lot of interiors. So this property preservation, this foreclosure cleanup business, I'm telling you, this is the right thing to be in. So Danielle, I want to thank you for your time, love.
Appreciate you.
Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
You all take care. Have a good day. I will see you all in the House Flipping family. Also the YouTube channel, the House Flipping Guide YouTube channel. Y'all take care. Be blessed. Have a good evening.
All right. Take care. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.